Welcome back to my channel. This video is part 3 of a 3-part series about Kabuki theater performance practices, and more importantly, what is at the heart of Kabuki musical expression. If you missed either part 1 or part 2 of this series on Kabuki, I suggest watching those videos before beginning this video. You can find the links to both videos above. In the previous video, we went over the rhythms and musical relationship between the otsuzumi, the hip drum, and kotsuzumi, shoulder drum, as they try to musically express the scene found in the play Kokaji of a swordsmith forging a sword, and all the drama that comes with hammering and pounding hot steel. In this video, we're going to add in the one instrument that was missing from this dramatic scene, the Nagauta Shamisen. I love Shamisen. I really hope through this video that we are able to analyze how the shamisen adds, as well as plays off of, the rhythmic drama we learned in the last video with the otsuzumi and kotsuzumi. What is neat here is how the shamisen can play both a percussive role, in many cases lining up with the otsuzumi and kotsuzumi, and sometimes being part of that calling and answering pattern that we talked about last week, as well as adding this beautiful musical color to the rhythmic section and taking on a more melodic role that really enriches this scene of forging a sword into something much deeper and much richer than what we would have had if we just had the drums themselves. Furthermore, at the same time, the shamisen is kind of playing a leader role, almost the concert master of the ensemble, using a term from the Western orchestra. Now remember, unlike what we talked about with no theater, and if you didn't see my video on no theater, I do have a link in the description below. In Kabuki theater, the fact that shamisen is added really shows that shamisen is creating this new and exciting change to the music, so that the music is no longer just a meditative art, which is what we found in no music, but now becoming a sort of musical form that better describes the experiences and the hearts of everyday people in life during the Edo period in Japan, which is really, really cool. Which makes it a little closer to the people, a little bit dirtier, not nearly so high art. In many ways, this is trying to be a popular art. And every definition of popular art, we have the low class watching this. This is not viewed as something only highly educated people would understand. This is music that was viewed that anyone could understand. It's entertaining, it's fun, it speaks to the people. Both the good and the bad of that. Oh, before I forget, please like and subscribe to this video if you're enjoying the content that I have in these videos. I know some of my video editing is still not perfect and I'm still working out through a lot of issues, but as long as there's one person enjoying these videos, I would be really happy to continue creating them and working on new topics that you are interested in learning. So let's get on to the video. So to start with, we are using a Nagauta shamisen, which means we are using the taller but lighter bridge made out of ivory and a thinner, longer but sharp bachi also made out of ivory. So we can play quickly but elegantly at the same time. As seen in my past video on shamisen, link here, the sound we have is this. Now, you might notice that my pitch here is not the same as the pitch from my previous video, which might not be the same as the pitch in the final recording of this video. Once again, shamisen is free to change its pitch up and down depending on who you are playing with, who the singer is, what you need at that time. What's important is the relationship between the pitches stay the same, even if the bass pitches are not the same. So even if I change my bass pitch from C to B, that's fine as long as the relationship between the three strings remain the same. So what do we get in the shamisen part? Well, to begin with, this is a duet, which creates a lot of excitement. Now, I'm all by myself. I don't have someone to play a duet with me, but I can show you in the recording where the key duet moments happen. Throughout the whole piece, the two shamisens are basically playing two different parts, but where it gets really interesting is when you have this kind of call and respond in the shamisen part, just like we see in the otsuzumi and the kotsuzumi part. And what makes it even more interesting is when the otsuzumi and kotsuzumi also are sort of calling and responding with the shamisen part. At the very beginning, the shamisen and the kotsuzumi are basically playing the same part. In the otsuzumi, we get a yao with a tat, so yao. Kotsuzumi goes tapon. Tapon lines up exactly with shamisen, so yao tapon, hao tapon, yoi. So that sounds like this if we put both instruments together. And that yoi is actually a sign for the shamisen player to get ready for the next point. So we have the yoi where the otsumi kotsumi play together. So yoi. And here the shamisen starts playing a sort of a more melodic line, a more interesting line as the kotsuzumi and otsuzumi start creating a more complicated rhythm between them. So shamisen we have during this phrase, we can hear that in the duet shamisen, they're playing the same rhythm, but they're basically playing an octave apart. Which is kind of nice. And they kind of continue doing that. So that sounds like this. Next is the really exciting part, where the shamisen breaks off into a really distinctive duet and the otsuzumi and kotsuzumi join in. The main shamisen line plays. The duet part plays. What's interesting here is I don't play an open string pattern. I play a second string to the third string, back to the second string, which gives it this overall more muted sound. So to hear that together, and this happens over and over again as they play off each other. In the O and the kotsuzumi parts, they play here. So we have chiri kara tsu pon, and they rest, and we hear chan chan chan, chiri kara tsu pon, chan chan chan, right? And then they start playing with the main shamisen line. Again, chiri kara tsu pon, chiri kara tsu pon, right? So once again, if you know the shamisen line, you listen for that both as a suzumi player and a shamisen player, and you enjoy the duet. And this really emphasizes this clashing of the sword, right? You have two voices, chiri kara tsu pon, cha cha cha, chiri kara tsu pon, cha cha cha, right? It's almost like two people are sitting there hammering the sword. So after this chiri kara tsu pon, ta ta ta, chiri kara tsu pon, ta ta ta, then we have the chiri kara tsu pon with the main shamisen, chiri kara tsu pon, chiri kara tsu pon. Then we get the more exciting chiri kara chiri popo suta suta su. And this is our big exciting hold. At this point, the shamisen, it will actually hold with the suzumi line. So once again, chiri kara tsu boom, chirikata su, boom, chirikata, chiripopo, suka, suka, su. So once again, chirikata su, boom, chirikata su, boom, chirikata, chiripopo, suka, suka, su, boom, suka, su, boom, suka, boom, ta, boom, suka, su, boom, suka, boom. And right away you can feel the kotsumi otsumi feeding off of the energy of the shamisen. They're playing off of each other, they're playing with each other, they're using each other and contrasting each other at the same time. And this happens again. Right after this, we have another major duet part that can be heard in the shamisen and is reflected in the otsumi kotsumi. So we have this high part, and then we have this pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom tat tat tat, yoi, and they both go on. So again, pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom tat tat, pom 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 pom, yoi, suta su, pom, suta suta su, pom. And we move on again. And we see this consistently throughout the entire piece, this kind of duet emphasizing between the shamisen as well as the ko and otsumi parts, or they're playing with the main shamisen line and the duet shamisen part is playing all by itself. So once again, that's another interesting shamisen line. We have this really nice slide up instead of, which we could also do, but it's just not the same effect. Versus just two different colors. Once again, shamisen loves changing up the colors. And we have it's interesting here that this is where the shamisen is playing a very muted sound because I'm stuck on the second string. And here we have this really complicated sumi pattern. Tatsuta, tasu, tatsuta, tasu, tatsuta, sutasu. It's a very syncopated rhythm that's switching back and forth of who's doing the downbeat and who's doing the offbeat. So once again, everyone has to slow down together at this point because we want a nice hold. And this is where we have our ma. This is the big ma section. So everyone's going to have to hold here. And then we wait for that sign to go on. Up. And keep going on. So once again. From here, it starts sounding kind of similar to what we've had already. So we have a. So we've had this before, but now we have a couple new decorations. Yo, e. Up. There's that nice slide again that we had earlier, except higher in the shamisen. Up. You might be noticing I'm doing this quick slide down the shamisen. It's a decoration that adds a little bit more emphasis. So once again. my all-time favorite part, the very end, and this is when the drumming is at its most crazy, and the shamisen is kind of at its most crazy as well. So we have this. Notice there's a slowdown here again. Doesn't have to slow down, but we're trying to create that ma experience. So even though we're going faster or we want excitement, we still want this pullback for this ma that needs to happen perfectly between the shamisen and the drummers. So to hear this again, we have a... Once again, if you want to know how I get through that counting, I do know the shamisen part as well, so I'm listening to it, so hear it again. Up. And everyone has to hold it. Yo! And that's what makes this so exciting. It's not just the fact that it's fast and we get to play lots of cool rhythms and lots of neat techniques. There's a lot of pushing and pulling happening throughout the piece that also creates these dramatic moments of ma. And it really shows you how powerful ma is when you put it in there and then when you take it away again. Let's listen to this entire instrumental section of Building the Sword with the music of what it actually sounds like all put together.
一生莫惜去。
Again, I am not a professional Hayashi drummer. I have learned the drums both for Kabuki and for No. I have learned the patterns. It doesn't mean I'm a professional. Shamisen is more of my main instrument. However, when you compare the rhythm of chirikata chiripopo versus something like mitsuji and suzuki, you can instantly tell the difference levels of what you can do musically in a piece when you use them. It's not to say one is technically more musical or harder than the other. They're just different. And to repeat again, Kabuki does use mitsuji. It does use the suzuki pattern. It uses most of the No patterns, and it's very clear in Kabuki when it's trying to sound No. One of the big reasons that Kabuki uses No patterns is because a lot of the Kabuki plays were originally No plays, including Kokaji. Kokaji was also originally a No play. So Kabuki is taking it, but kind of remastering it into their own work, like we see with Hollywood movies. You take a really famous novel and you remake it into your own story, and you make it your own version of it, and you make it work better for your medium. You cannot do the exact same thing a novel did, because a novel has the ability to express only through words, and there's an advantage to that. There's also disadvantages. Kabuki is trying to be a more entertaining art, so they can't just rely on the words. They need to show visually. And because of that, the music tends to be a little bit more over the top. You tend to have more complicated rhythms. You tend to want moments where only the instruments are playing off of each other and having excitement and really showing off their musical abilities, as well as these moments that are very highly No. Kabuki has many plays from the No stage. In many cases, the text is exactly the same, but how it's being expressed is changing. And that is what makes Japanese music interesting, is how many genres use the same text, how many genres use the same musical ideas, but they reinvent it in their own way to meet the purpose of that particular genre for whoever their audience is. And we see that clearly in Kabuki. Even though No has done the same play, Kabuki does it much differently, but Kabuki will still use some of the same No patterns and some of the same No ideas, but they recreate it to make it more effective for their particular genre. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little bit more about Kabuki and No. I will do a few more videos comparing the differences of Kabuki and No, especially when it comes to the flute. I would really love to hear your comments down below. What did you like? What did you find interesting? What did you find confusing? What is something you want to know more about? And I will try to put together another video covering those topics. Until then, I hope you are all happy and good and well, and keep enjoying Japanese traditional music. Bye!